At the Wyatt family in Rivinesco, Lovelia, a handsome young man rushed into the house. Dustin Fox walked into the living room carrying a cake. 5 gorgeous women came up to meet him. They were the 5 stunning sisters of the Wyatt family. The eldest, Amara, was dressed in office attire that did nothing to hide her amazing figure. The second sister, Bella, was cold and distant. Her beauty was marked by a chilling elegance. The third sister, Clara, wore a short skirt and high heels. She was no less than a seductive temptress. The fourth sister, Delia, was in casual dress. Her features were softer but no less pretty. The youngest sister, Elisa, was lively and charming. Happy birthday, Amara. Dustin beamed as he presented the cake to her. Amara glanced at the cake coldly. It was crumbling a little, and the box was a little blood-stained. Frowning, Amara slapped the cake box away and sent it flying. When it landed on the floor, the cake was smashed into a pitiful pile. Amara looked disgusted as she said, "How dare you give me such a cheap cake? It has blood on it." Dustin discreetly hid his bleeding arm. An hour ago, he had been by the river to face the martial experts of the 4 great organizations. At this point, all that was left there were bodies littering the ground. There might be more than 100 bodies there. In his rush to get home and celebrate Amara's birthday, he had only managed a quick cleanup of his injury. He had not noticed that his arm was still bleeding freely. Dustin smiled apologetically and said, "I'm sorry, Amara. I'll go and buy you a new one right away." Amara dismissed him impatiently. "No need. Just get lost. The Wyatt family doesn't need useless trash." Dustin frowned when he heard that. "What do you mean, Amara?" Bella scoffed. "Don't you get it? We're kicking you out of the Wyatt family. From now on, you're not to step foot back in here ever again." Dustin's face turned dark as he stared at Bella. "Bella, did I do something wrong?" Clara said sarcastically, "The only thing you've done wrong is to exist as a useless piece of trash. You've done nothing of worth ever since joining the Wyatt family. All you've done is waste our food." Dustin's face turned red with anger. He had just eliminated the 4 great organizations. Why did he have to deal with this sort of treatment at home? "Is that really what you think of me?" Delia let out a snort. Her face was full of disgust. "Take a good look at yourself. What have you really accomplished?" "We consulted a fortune teller. The Wyatt family has been suffering one misfortune after another because of you. You're a curse." Elisa let out a cold, mocking laugh. "When you fainted outside our house and were seriously hurt, Dad decided to save you only because you looked like our youngest brother. That's why he let you stay here. Now that Eli has been found, it's time for you to get out of here." When Dustin heard that, he felt angry and heartbroken. He had risked his life for the Wyatt family. Was this the kind of thanks he got for that? "Do you have any idea what I've done for the Wyatt family all these years? Everyone envies us for our treasures. I've fought tirelessly to keep those threats at bay. I've been seriously injured so many times. If it weren't for me, you'd all be dead 100 times over." In an instant, he ripped off his shirt. It was shocking to see his body covered in wounds and scars. Each wound he had endured had been a killing blow. Some of his wounds were still fresh and bleeding freely. These were the injuries he had sustained at the battle with the 4 great organizations tonight. He had dragged his injured body back home to celebrate Amara's birthday, but his sisters were trying to kick him out of the family. For the Wyatt family, he had secretly trained in martial arts and medicine. He had also established a huge organization to keep them safe. When Amara had taken control of the Wyatt group, it was facing financial ruin. Dustin had someone deliver massive orders to help her through any difficulties. He solved all of her problems for her. Bella had thrown herself into her acting career. Her continuous success and huge blockbuster contracts were also because of his help. Clara devoted herself to the arts, yet her talents were just average. It had been Dustin who had arranged for a renowned artist to take her under his wing as a student. He had also set things up for her so that she could build an excellent reputation. Delia loved medicine. Dustin had hidden his identity to teach her his skills. He had helped her solve tricky medical cases and turned her into Rivanesco's leading doctor. Elisa was arrogant and had offended mafia bosses many times. It had been Dustin who had protected her from the threats from the shadows. Dustin had given his everything for the sake of the Wyatt sisters. After all these years, he felt drained. How dare they treat him with such heartlessness? Dustin pointed at them and yelled, "You really think the Wyatt family's success is all thanks to you? Ha! It's because I've been pulling the strings from behind the scenes. I've done more for the Wyatt family than you can imagine. Now, you're telling me to get lost?" Amara scoffed. She looked at him with even more mockery. "Stop flattering yourself. The Wyatt family is only successful today because of our efforts. What does it have to do with you? Do you really think you did anything to help this family? What a joke." Bella sneered. "You're just a piece of trash. What can you do for the Wyatt family? Do you think you're worthy of even trying? I think you're faking those injuries." Dustin's anger flared. He had earned every single scar and wound while protecting the Wyatt family. He had risked his life, and yet, Bella doubted that they were fake. Dustin felt utterly disappointed. Amara was very annoyed. "Enough. Stop with your tantrums. You should get yourself out of that door on your own while you still can. If you linger here, we're going to kick you out. Remember, you're nothing more than a useless dog that we raised. The Wyatt family has done you a great favor by taking you in for more than 10 years. It's time for you to beat it." Dustin inhaled sharply. His face contorted with rage. What a joke. He had sacrificed so much for the Wyatt family, lost so much blood, and suffered so many injuries, and yet, this was all he got for it. In these people's eyes, he was nothing more than a dog. How laughable. Dustin's heart ached as his face turned pale. "All right, I'll go. From here on out, I will have nothing to do with the Wyatt family. Just don't regret it later." After that, Dustin turned to leave. Bella looked at him in disdain and said, "He's just a useless punk. Does he think he can scare us? He tells us not to regret it. Who does he think he is?" Amara nodded in agreement. "Exactly. Without the Wyatt family, he's nothing. He might just starve out there. We'll see who'll be the one to regret it." Amara frowned and looked over at Elisa. "Ellie, follow him. Don't let that trash take anything that belongs to the Wyatt family. He's probably a thief, too." Although she did not want to, Elisa had to obey Amara. After all, Amara was the president of the Wyatt group and had always had authority. Outside the Wyatt family, Dustin faced the front door and bowed. "Father," he addressed his adoptive father, "it's not that I don't want to help the Wyatt family. Your daughters don't want me around." He sighed. He was an orphan. He had escaped an underground human trafficking ring and had been saved by the head of the Wyatt family to repay him. Dustin had sworn before his adoptive father's death to protect the Wyatt family. He had given his all and studied the texts left behind by his adoptive father diligently. He had even learned medicine. It was all to protect the Wyatt family. He had sacrificed so much for the Wyatt family over the years. He felt the fatigue deep in his bones, yet, in the end, he was banished from the family. None of his accomplishments even mattered. "I've done enough for the Wyatt family. From now on, I'll live for myself," Dustin said indifferently. If that was the way the Wyatt sisters treated him, then he would cut off all ties with them. From this point on, they walked separate paths. His phone rang. "Speak," said Dustin as he answered the call. "Sir, I've made some headway investigating the influential parties who had a hidden agenda against the Wyatt family. Should I eliminate them?" "There's no need." Dustin's tone was icy. "You won't have to investigate it anymore." "All right, sir," came the response. "I will no longer be the son of the Wyatt family from now on. I will be the leader of Hell Hall, the king of Hades himself, Dustin Fox." Dustin said coldly, "Roger that." As he hung up, Dustin's face twisted with contempt. He had started Hell Hall for the Wyatt family. In the past years, the establishment had grown rapidly powerful. It had become a significant influence in the underworld. Wondered how his adoptive sisters would react when they found out they had kicked out the leader of the world's #1 organization. "Where should I go now?" Dustin looked up at the sky and sighed. He felt a little lost. Up until that point, he had done everything for the Wyatt family. Suddenly he had been kicked out of the family, so he did not know what to do. The beep of a car horn sounded right then. A vintage car stopped in front of the gates. A pretty woman in a long white dress got out of the car. Dustin knew her. Her name was Simone Langley, and he had saved her life once before. In truth, Amara had been facing an assassination attempt back then. After the assassin failed his attempt, Dustin had chased after him. The assassin had used Simone as a hostage when Dustin had saved her by killing him. "Mr. Fox, please come with me," she said gently. Simone extended a hand to Dustin with a smile. "You saved my life once. Now that the Wyatt family has driven you out, why don't you come join me in the Langley family? Although my family has fallen on hard times, we'll still give you the best that we have." Simone said earnestly. Dustin was swayed by Simone's warm smile. Compared with the Wyatt sisters' cold indifference, Simone's warmth was like a roaring fire. It had been a long time since he had felt such tenderness. Almost instinctively, he said, "All right." Simone was overjoyed. She happily led Dustin into the car. "How did you know I was kicked out of the Wyatt family?" Dustin asked. "I've been keeping myself updated about your situation," Simone said in a low voice as she blushed. "Mr. Fox, the Langley family can't compare to the Wyatt family, but I hope you won't find it beneath you." Dustin grinned. "Why would I? I'm already very grateful that you're taking me in. Also, please don't call me Mr. Fox. Call me Dustin." Simone nodded. Once, the Langley family was wealthy and successful. However, they had fallen on hard times, and the villa that they owned had an air of decay. When Simone led Dustin into the villa, the members of the Langley family came forward to greet him. "Mr. Fox, welcome to the Langley family," said David Langley with a warm smile. He was Simone's father. "Consider this your own home from now on." Simone's mother, Monique Langley, wore a kind smile. "Camille, clean up your room and let Mr. Fox stay there." "You can stay in the study," David said to Simone's younger sister. "Dad, I've already cleaned it." "Mr. Fox can move in immediately," Camille said with a smile. "There's no need for that. I can sleep anywhere." Dustin was shocked by their hospitality. "That won't do. You saved Simone's life." David and Monique both looked very serious and rejected Dustin's polite refusal. Dustin had no choice but to go along with the arrangement, his heart filled with warmth. He was really grateful for this family, had sacrificed everything for the Wyatt sisters and risked his life many times for them. He had lost count of how many times he had saved them. Yet, all he got in return was to be dismissed as a useless fool. In contrast, he had saved Simone's life just once. Yet, the whole Langley family treated him like a saint. They wanted to give him the best they had. The stark contrast left him both heartbroken and deeply moved. That night, Monique cooked up a feast to welcome Dustin into their family. The comforting dinner made Dustin feel happy and loved. Suddenly, with a loud bang, the front door was kicked open, and a bunch of thugs rushed in. "Oh, look. You have money for a fancy dinner but not to pay your debts, huh?" said the leader of the group, a bald man with a scar, sarcastically. He eyed the table. The members of the Langley family were terrified. Simone pulled Camille behind her and shielded her. Dustin frowned. "These men did not look like simple thugs. Mr. Owen, please give me a few more days. I'll definitely pay back this month's interest in full," David said pleadingly. "Interest?" Matthew Owen scoffed. "What about the principal amount you borrowed? You want to eat a feast, huh? I'll give you something to eat." He kicked the table and flipped it over. The food was scattered on the floor. Camille yelped, and Simone hugged her close. They looked terrified. "If you make any more noise, I'll kill you all," Matthew shouted. He looked frightening. Just as he was about to step forward, Dustin suddenly moved between him and Camille. "Who the hell are you, little punk? Have a death wish?" Matthew taunted him. "David, what's going on?" Dustin turned to ask David. "My family's company was having some financial issues. Our bank loan was rejected, so we had no choice but to take a loan from the Serpentine gang. I didn't think. The interest they charge is piling up faster than the money I actually borrowed." David sighed. Dustin was taken aback. The Langley family was struggling so much. but they were still willing to take him in. He definitely had to do something to help them get out. Dustin spat as he turned back around. What? Matthew narrowed his eyes and let out a mocking laugh. Then, his face darkened. Please, don't hurt Mr. Fox. We'll definitely pay you back your money. David shouted. Mr. Fox? Matthew frowned as he stared at Dustin. Which family are you from, kid? Dustin was about to speak when someone interrupted. He used to be part of the Wyatt family. The men of the Serpentine gang turned around and saw a gorgeous woman in booty shorts standing at the door. In an instant, Matthew and his thugs turned pale. Miss Elisa, what are you going here? They looked terrified. Elisa had once said off Ronald Quigley, the head of the Serpentine gang. Ronald had declared that he would make sure that Elisa would crawl into his bed willingly, yet, the next day, Ronald had run over to the Wyatt family and begged Elisa for her forgiveness. No one knew what had happened, but everyone in the underworld was smart enough to be wary of anyone from the Wyatt family. Elisa walked inside arrogantly with her gaze fixed on Dustin. Ellie. Dustin said. Matthew and the other thugs were wary of her. Don't call me that. You're no longer a member of the Wyatt family. You have no right to call me by that name. Elisa said coldly. Dustin's face turned icy as well. What are you doing here, Elisa Wyatt? He used her full name instead. Elisa frowned. She was not happy with the distance Dustin had put between them. Amara suspects that you stole things from the Wyatt family. She sent me to get them back, snapped Elisa. Dustin was furious. How dare they accuse him of theft? Dustin felt his heart grow cold. I did not take anything from the Wyatt family. I don't owe the Wyatt family anything either. In fact, it's you who owe me, he said. Dustin's icy gaze shocked Elisa. It seemed that this useless trash had changed. The Wyatt family took you in for more than 10 years. How can you say that you owe us nothing? You ungrateful wretch. Elisa yelled at him. Dustin could not help but laugh. They claimed he was ungrateful, when, in reality, they were the ungrateful ones. Just come clean. Did you take something? Elisa refused to back down. You. Go and search him. She pointed at Matthew. Yes, Miss Elisa. Seeing how things were, Matthew did not bother being polite to Dustin. Dustin did not move. He glared at Elisa as he let Matthew search him thoroughly. He had not taken anything from the Wyatt family when he left. You really didn't take anything? Elisa frowned. I took one thing. What? My dignity. Dustin said firmly. Elisa's face turned even darker. Well, I'd like to see how you survive on your dignity alone. Elisa slammed the door behind her as she left. She had wanted Dustin to get on his knees and beg for forgiveness. If he had done that, she would have let him live. It was his own fault for shunning her kindness, dignity. Bah. Keep your dignity and see how far it gets you, said Elisa as she walked away. After she left, Matthew and his thugs chuckled. Mr. Fox, do you have anything else to say? Matthew asked mockingly. Let's go outside. I have something to say to you indeed, Dustin said calmly. Dustin. Simone was worried. She was scared that something might happen to Dustin. Mr. Fox, this matter has nothing to do with you. We can deal with it ourselves. David and Monique also tried to talk him out of it. David, Monique, Simone, please don't worry. I have a plan. Dustin grinned. After that, he walked outside with the thugs. Let's see what this punk has up his sleeves. Matthew smirked as he led his men outside. Out in the street, Dustin stood with his back to them. Are you going to beg for your life here, Mr. Fox? Matthew asked mockingly. Do you know why Ronald Quigley went to the Wyatt family to beg for mercy? Dustin asked, as if you know anything about that. Matthew scoffed. It's because he met someone, Dustin said calmly. Matthew frowned. Outsiders did not know about this point. One day, he had gone with Ronald to meet someone who was said to be very influential and powerful. Ronald, the man he knew to be formidable and frightening, had been trembling at that time. Seeing that, Matthew had been even more terrified. He did not even dare to look up. All he saw at that time was that mysterious person's back. He had felt shaken and frightened at that time. Suddenly, Matthew froze. The back of the person that faced him at this moment resembled the back of the mysterious person he had seen at that time. You're... Matthew's eyes widened in shock. and the hair on his arms stood straight up. Dustin turned around, and a murderous aura rolled like waves from him. Elisa returned home with a temper. Amara, that useless Dustin really didn't take anything from the Wyatt family. The Langley family took him in, she said huffily. The Langley family? Amara frowned. Yes. The one called Simone Langley. She brought some gifts to the house that one time. But I sent her packing because you didn't want to see her. Amara thought about it. I remember now. The company owned by the Langley family wanted a partnership, but I ignored them. I heard their company is on the brink of bankruptcy now. Yes. That's the same Langley family. Elisa nodded earnestly. Their company's going bankrupt. The family's not going to survive much longer. I can't believe they dared take that piece of trash in. It makes no sense. That trash. Dustin even claimed that the Wyatt family owes him. Isn't that laughable? Elisa's sisters all reacted in different ways. Some mocked him, others felt disdainful, and yet others treated it with cool indifference. Dustin was nothing more than a dog that the Wyatt family kicked out. If the Langley family dares to take him in, that's clearly an act of defiance against us. They really don't know what's good for them. Dustin even said he'd make us regret it. I wonder if he'll even survive until tomorrow. Elisa continued to mock Dustin. Some men from the Serpentine gang went there too, and Dustin just had to stick his nose into the problem. I bet he's in trouble now. The other sisters frowned. After a while, they all laughed. Dustin really did not know how useless he actually was. He's no longer a part of the Wyatt family. There's no need to care whether he lives or dies, Amara said coldly. As for the Langley family, we just need to pull some strings to make them face complete ruin. Just as Amara said that, her phone rang. It was a call from the company. What is it? Asked Amara calmly. Miss Wyatt, we have a huge problem. The Excelsior Group suddenly canceled the contract you personally signed with them. They no longer want to work with us. What? Amara's face darkened. The Excelsior Group was one of the top conglomerates in the capital, Somerton. Many businesses wanted to collaborate with them and secure their hefty contracts. Amara had personally taken on the task and gone to Somerton many times to negotiate with them. But she was turned away even before she got to meet the lowest executive officer of the Excelsior Group. Just as she was about to give up hope, the Excelsior Group had reached out. Their president had personally met her. The man had been exceedingly courteous and claimed that he had been moved by Amara's sincerity. He then readily handed her a huge contract. That achievement was something that Amara felt immensely proud of. It was a remarkable story that had become something like a legend in the business world in Rivenesco. The Wyatt Group had just delivered their first batch of samples. Just a day before, the Excelsior Group had seemed pleased with those samples. They were supposed to sign the contract for a huge order the next day. Why had they suddenly changed their minds at this point? Amara did not understand what's going on with them. She screamed into the phone. How could there be such a mistake when this order was so critical for the Wyatt Group? Miss Wyatt, we also don't know what's going on, stammered the person on the other end. Amara hung up and threw her phone on the coffee table. She folded her arms in front of her chest. Her face was frosty and troubled. Amara, what's going on? Delia looked wary. It was almost like she was afraid to speak too loudly. What's going on with the Excelsior Group? Why did they suddenly cancel their order? Amara could not figure it out no matter how hard she thought about it. The day before yesterday, the Excelsior Group had been delighted and had praised the Wyatt Group. Amara, why don't we investigate and see if we can fix this? Bella asked tentatively. Amara thought it through before picking up her phone again and making a call. First, she called the president of the Excelsior Group, but the call did not go through. Has he blocked me? Amara could not believe it. She had grown up as the envy of many. She was always revered and respected and had never been treated this way before. She could not believe that this was how things had ended up. She pulled up WhatsApp to check her messages, but her face only turned darker when she saw it. The app showed that she had been blocked, and she had no other means of contacting the president of the Excelsior Group. Amara looked scary as she huffed shakily. Find out what's happening with the Excelsior Group now, she said after dialing a number. Soon, she got some updates. Miss Wyatt, the president of the Excelsior Group, is personally driving over to the Langley family. What? All 5 sisters were shocked. They could not believe it. The Langley family. The same Langley family that had taken in that useless trash. Dustin, how could that be? The Langley Group is on the verge of bankruptcy and has massive debts. Why would the Excelsior Group be interested in them? The president is even visiting in person. Bella found the entire situation unbelievable. What is the president of the Excelsior Group thinking? In all of Rivenesco, only the Wyatt Group can handle such a huge order as theirs. The Langley Group is nothing. Clara said furiously. Delia frowned but remained silent. She was just as stumped as the rest of them. Elisa could not make sense of it either. She had just returned from the Langley family, so she knew how things were over there. Had the president of the Excelsior Group lost his mind? Suddenly, Amara stood up and walked to the door. Amara, where are you going? To the Langley family. Outside the Langley family villa, a relatively modest Maybach came to a halt. The president of the Excelsior Group stepped out of the car. Inside the villa, the Langley family was immensely worried after Dustin had headed out with the Serpentine gang members. They had almost called the police, but soon, Dustin had returned safely inside. Dustin, are you all right? Where are the Serpentine gang's people? The whole family rushed over to Dustin. They were scared that he might have gotten hurt. Don't worry. They just left. The money you owe them will be handled later, said Dustin with a smile. Dustin would definitely help the Langley family since they took him in with such open hearts. How did you manage that? David and Monique were stunned. Dustin considered cooking up a story, but Simone changed the topic before he could say anything. She could sense that he could not tell them the truth. Dustin gave her a grateful look. He had not spent much time with Simone, but he knew that she was very perceptive and understanding. The two of them had a strange ability to sense what the other person was thinking. As the Langley family tidied up the mess, the doorbell rang suddenly. Every member of the Langley family winced and worried. Monique, you should open the door. Don't worry, it'll be fine. It might even be good news, Dustin said with a warm smile. I'll be grateful enough if it's not another debt collector. Monique chuckled bitterly but went to open the door. Who are you? Monique asked hesitantly when she saw a stranger at the door. Hello, madam. I'm Duke Mortimer, the president of the Excelsior Group. Here's my business card. Duke smiled politely as he handed Monique his card. The Excelsior Group? Monique was a housewife. She had not heard of the Excelsior Group. However, David was taken aback. Isn't that the top conglomerate in Somerton? Simone was stunned as well. The two quickly ran to the door. Mr. Mortimer, please come in. Please come in. Simone and David were both panicky. The Excelsior Group was one of the top 3 conglomerates in Somerton. Its president, Duke Mortimer, was a famous person in Somerton. Even the rich and powerful elites of Somerton would treat him with utmost respect. Why would such an important person visit them personally at their home? They felt anxious and were also surprised. After realizing who Duke was, Monique stood rooted to the ground. It was only after Dustin reminded her to get some coffee that she moved away. Mr. Mortimer, is there a reason for your visit to our house? Asked David modestly. Apologies for the late visit, but I'm here to discuss a partnership with the Langley Group. Duke took out a contract. When Simone and David looked at the document, their eyes widened in shock. Mr. Mortimer, for such a huge order. Are you sure you want to work with us? David and Simone could hardly believe it. The Langley Group was on the verge of bankruptcy. It was almost a pipe dream to be able to work with the Excelsior Group. Mr. Langley, is my visit to your doorstep not enough to show my sincerity? Duke joked. Of course not. David waved a hand. It's just hard for us to believe that someone of your stature would come all the way here. Duke glanced at Dustin calmly. I heard about what happened to the Langley family. What you did was honorable. It's worthy of respect. You refused to sell products that did not meet your expectations. You even took on huge debts just to make sure substandard goods weren't released into the market. The Excelsior Group needs partners like you. Duke's words brought tears to David's eyes. Thank you, he said the same thing over and over again. This order was exactly what the Langley family needed at the moment. Dad, this order. Simone looked troubled. She wanted to remind David of their condition at the moment. The Langley family was weighed down by enormous debts. How were they supposed to find the capital to invest in such a huge production? Don't worry, Miss Langley. My company is willing to pay 50% of the costs in advance. Once you produce the first 2 batches, we can pay for the other half, Duke said. Simone's eyes widened. The Langley family was in disbelief, and no one did business this way. It did not make sense at all. Duke was clearly only here to help the Langley family. But why would he do that? None of the Langley family members had an answer. David, Monique, Simone, if Mr. Mortimer is being so sincere, what's there to worry about? Dustin asked from the side. This young man is right. You have nothing to worry about. I only want to build a trustworthy business relationship, said Duke with a warm smile. All right. Then, we'll accept this order. David nodded in agreement. Duke took out 2 copies of the contract. It was clear that he had come prepared. Outside the Langley family, a Maserati sped in. Amara got out of the car. When she saw the Maybach parked there and checked its number plate, her face turned grim. The president of the Excelsior Group had really visited in person. Amara quickly headed into the villa. She could not figure out why this was happening. She knocked hard on the door. The door was soon opened. When she saw the person who had opened the door, her face turned icy. Amara Wyatt, what are you doing here? Dustin asked with a frown. Who are you to question me? You're just an outsider. Amara was as cold and unforgiving as ever. Get out of my way, she yelled impatiently. Dustin's face stiffened. He looked displeased. Outsider. After dedicating more than a decade to the Wyatt family, he was still only seen as an outsider. A moment later, Dustin looked at her mockingly and stepped aside. Amara walked in to find that Duke and David were about to sign the contract. Mr. Mortimer, you can't sign that, she shouted. Everyone in the villa looked at her. Amara's high heels clicked on the floor as she walked over to them. Mr. Mortimer, the Wyatt Group is the perfect partner for the Excelsior Group. We are the only company in all of Rivenesco that can handle your order, she said briskly. The Langley family is far from capable of doing that. Duke frowned. He glared at her. Although Amara was a formidable woman and even her sisters were intimidated by her because she was the president of her own company, she was no match for Duke, who was an impressive person in his own right. It's not up to you to teach me how the Excelsior Group should handle its business, Duke said firmly. Amara's face changed. So, this is how the eldest daughter of the Wyatt family was brought up. You barge in here without the Langley family's permission and shout about how the Langley family isn't capable in their own home? Dustin mocked her. Amara's face paled as she faced Dustin. In the past, Dustin always supported her, yet he did not seem to care about her at this moment. Amara was so enraged that her blood boiled. He's completely right, Duke said indifferently. Miss Wyatt, don't you have any manners? Amara kept her temper in check and forced out a smile. Mr. Mortimer, you're right. I was out of line, she said as she regained her composure. I am very sincere in my intention to work with the Excelsior Group. Your company's sudden cancellation caught us all off guard. Mr. Mortimer, could you please tell us where we went wrong, so we can do better? Duke chuckled. Excelsior will not work with a company that has no basic decency. After that, Duke stood up and bade farewell to the Langley family. He did not look at Amara even once before walking out of there. Amara was livid. What was Duke implying about her company lacking basic decency? Amara looked at Dustin, who looked exceedingly calm. She frowned. Could it be? Was this matter connected to that piece of trash? That was impossible. Was nothing but a useless dog. How could he possibly be capable of something like this? And Miss Wyatt, please have some coffee. Simone brought Amara a cup of coffee. Amara pushed the cup away and sent it flying to the floor. The cup shattered. Ah! Simone cried out. She was nearly burned. Amara Wyatt. Dustin abruptly got up. He looked frightening. This is not the Wyatt family. No one here will tolerate your bad behavior. If you want to throw a tantrum, crawl back to the Wyatt family and do it there. After shouting at her, Dustin looked at Simone with concern. Simone, are you all right? He asked gently. I'm fine, Simone said softly. She was startled because she had not expected Dustin to shout at his former sister on her behalf. It warmed her heart. Amara looked at Dustin in disbelief. That trash was telling her to get out of here. He used to be an insignificant presence. She was the one who used to order him about. When had he become so defiant? Amara's face turned cold. She looked at everyone in the villa and said icily, "Do you think the Langley group can challenge the Wyatt group?" "Well, let's see about that. This matter isn't over. I'll make sure the Langley group is ruined." After that, Amara turned and walked out the door. The Langley family looked at each other in stunned silence. As she passed Dustin, she said coldly, "You think you're impressive, Dustin? You must have done something. Is this your supposed revenge? You don't even have the means to ruin the Wyatt family." Dustin frowned. Amara was sick in the head. "Amara," he called and followed her out. Amara turned around. Her face was cold and aloof. She could not even be bothered to look him in the face. "Do you really think you're the one who single-handedly got the Wyatt group to where it is today? You think everybody should look up to you?" Dustin scoffed. "Yeah. So?" Amara asked. "Without me, no one would have helped you ungrateful brats of the Wyatt family in the last 10 years. Who do you think would support your luxurious lifestyle? The Wyatt family can't survive without me." Dustin laughed mockingly. If it had not been for his support from behind the scenes, the Wyatt group would have failed long ago. Had secretly helped it survive. But Amara thought her abilities were extraordinary and took pride in her achievements. "You have no abilities, but you think you're so impressive. You scowl at everyone every day. The Wyatt group will fall because of you, sooner or later." Dustin said indifferently, "From the moment I left the Wyatt family, it was destined to crumble." Amara was about to tell him off for his insolence. However, Dustin slammed the steel door in her face and denied her that satisfaction. Her face darkened. When she got back to her car, she kicked at it viciously to vent her anger. Amara walked into the Wyatt family villa with a long face. "Amara, what happened?" her sister asked. "The president of the Excelsior group was with the Langley family and personally signed a contract with them," Amara said coldly. "As for the Wyatt group, we've been betrayed." Amara said all that very calmly. Yet, a fierce rage simmered under the calm. The Langley family is nothing. What does the Excelsior group see in them? The others found the situation hard to believe. "There's no point in discussing this," Amara said with a frown. "Remember, from this day forward, the Langley family is an enemy to the Wyatt group. I have only one goal from now, and that is to utterly destroy the Langley family." The other sisters were all quiet. Once Amara decided to do something, she stopped at nothing until it was done. That was the kind of power she had as the president of the Wyatt group. "That insolent Dustin told me to get lost." Amara's voice was icy. The scene at the Langley family kept replaying in her mind. For more than a decade, Dustin had acted like a pitiful and loyal dog in front of her. How could he talk to her the way he had? Amara's chest heaved with anger, and her face looked frightening. How dare he treat Amara that way? That ungrateful wretch has grown too arrogant. The 4 other sisters were outraged. They angrily cursed at Dustin. "This only proves that kicking him out of the Wyatt family was the right choice," Amara said coolly. Amara checked her watch. Elijah should be escorted home right about now. Just as she said that, there was a noise at the front door. One of the servants of the Wyatt family led a disheveled young man inside. The young man was obviously wary and a little fearful. He did not look at ease at all, as if he was unused to the excessive luxury of the Wyatt family. "Elijah, is that you?" Elisa asked. "Yes. It's me, Elijah. It's nice to meet you, my sisters," Elijah said with his head down. He did not even dare to look up at them. "Eli." Amara and her 4 sisters rushed up to Elijah with tears in their eyes. This was their real brother. Dustin, on the other hand, was not even worthy of being Elijah's replacement. "Eli, welcome home." Amara smiled warmly. "Thank you. I always thought I was an orphan. It feels good to finally have a family." Elijah was so moved that his eyes welled up with tears. "Eli, you've gone through so much out there on your own in all these years." Bella, Clara, Delia, and Elisa were all bawling. Even Amara turned away to wipe a tear. It was a touching scene of a family reunion. Elijah's impoverished and unkempt condition broke their hearts. The sisters vowed to pamper their brother from this day onward. Take Eli upstairs for a bath and a change of clothes, Amara instructed a servant. Soon, Elijah returned downstairs to the sisters. He looked like a whole new person. Now you look like the youngest son of the Wyatt family. That scoundrel Dustin could never compare to you, Bella said. Who is Dustin? Elijah asked. Just an ungrateful wretch who was freeloading at the Wyatt family for more than 10 years. He's nothing compared to you, Clara said coldly. Eli, this is a gift from me. Delia smiled as she brought out an expensive watch. The other sisters also brought out pricey gifts that they had prepared for Elijah. I prepared something for you, too. Hold on a moment. Amara smiled and went up to her room. After a while, she came back downstairs and appeared very displeased. Amara, what is it? Elijah asked cautiously. I lost a check worth $1 million from my drawer. Amara's face was icy. I wrote the check this morning. It was supposed to be paid to a company as a fee. The other 4 sisters became agitated. How could there be a theft in the Wyatt family? We must investigate it immediately. We must find the culprit. Just then, Elijah stepped forward. Amara, think carefully. Who else besides our sisters could enter your room? He asked. The 5 sisters thought about it, and their faces stiffened. Dustin Fox. They all said Dustin's name at the same time. Out of all the people in the Wyatt family, Dustin was the most suspicious. The Wyatt sisters had always ordered him around. He had even washed their underclothes. He had been in every room. He claimed he didn't take anything, but he's nothing but a despicable thief. The Wyatt family raised him for so many years in vain. Elisa cursed. We should file a police report. He should be locked up. There's no way we can let this go. The others were furious. Amara let out a cold chuckle. I'm afraid he might not even survive to spend those $1 million, she said coldly. Amara, let me do this. Elijah offered. Let me do something for the family. Please give me this chance. I'll prove myself to you. The Wyatt sisters became even more fond of Elijah. That useless Dustin was wildly different from Elijah. Are you confident you can handle it? Amara raised an eyebrow. Please trust me, sisters. Elijah said, then, go ahead, but be careful. Amara nodded. She was curious to know what Elijah was capable of. Elijah bade them goodbye before leaving the villa. The timid and fearful demeanor instantly disappeared. His face turned sinister, and his eyes shone with malice. He took out the check that was worth $1 million from his pocket and glanced at it before smiling. The Wyatt family still owes me a lot more than this, he said mockingly. The way he had acted before the Wyatt sisters had been an act. His gaze turned sharp. Dustin Fox, you took away more than 10 years of my wealth and luxury. I'll make you pay dearly for that. At the Langley family villa, Simone's little sister, Camille, smiled and made the bed for Dustin. Dustin, you can stay in this room from now on. The room used to be hers, but she moved out to let Dustin stay there. Looking at the pink color in all corners of the room with a faint smell of perfume, Dustin felt a little helpless. Although he had refused their offer to take this room, he had no choice in the face of the Langley family's insistence. Simone stood nearby quietly with a red face. Actually, she wanted to say that her bed was big enough. There was a loud bang just as the 3 of them were about to speak. The sound came from outside. Who are you? Why did you kick down our front door? Hey! What are you doing? Ouch! Monique let out a cry of pain. Who are you? How dare you hit her? David shouted, get out of the way. There was another crash as David was kicked aside. He yelped in pain. In the bedroom, Dustin, Simone, and Camille were stunned. They quickly ran outside. They saw a young man smiling sinisterly in the living room. He was looking at them in mockery. Who are you? Why did you barge in here and hit my parents? Shouted Camille furiously as she pointed at the young man. Dustin frowned. He glanced at David and Monique, and his face darkened. He went over to them and helped them up. David, Monique, are you all right? We're fine. Dustin, you should all stay away from this man. He's crazy. David pulled Dustin behind and shielded him. Simone also stepped forward to pull Dustin away. She was terrified that he might get hurt. "You're Dustin Fox?" Elijah glared at Dustin icily in full mockery. "Let me introduce myself. I'm Elijah Wyatt. I'm the real youngest son of the Wyatt family. I'm here today to reclaim the years of luxury you've stolen from me." Dustin's eyes narrowed.